And good morning. Welcome to BCB Live. Sir Rick Drive Safe Dave and the producer coming to you on a great, cool Tuesday morning. Love the cool weather out. It was nice not to come in the morning and turn the AC on first thing in the morning.
Right when you jump in the car, make sure you got it running, rocking and rolling before you leave. But hey, you know what? I think we're going to have even cooler weather by the end of the week. We're going to be seeing what highs in the 60s around here at the end of the week. Be nice.
Yes, nothing wrong with a little cool weather it gets me in a much better spirit, much better frame of mind. I become the jolly Sir Rick around town. Fake news. In other news, we talked a little bit yesterday about American Airlines. Some of the airlines on the planes that had canceled. Right. Yesterday, another 358 planes get canceled. Announced by about 10 o'clock yesterday morning. Right after the show, more planes are canceling because of COVID. I don't think it was weather related now.
No, I was watching a really pretty in-depth article yesterday on the news about exactly what's going on. So the airlines have been playing it pretty close to the vest in regards to flight crews and the people working. And then when bad things happen and they have to cancel, those flight crews have to go off station and off status. So they're unable to put them in a different mode, different ways. So really, I mean, let's be honest. All this is about workforce. This is about not having enough people to do the job and the number of flights that are out there. And then when bad weather happens, it just dominoes and then explodes from there.
Yeah, and you know what? Our industry, we feel the same thing. When weather happens and roads shut down, construction, ice storms, wind, whatever it is, you just can't get back up and going again. There are hours of service regulations that keep you from going. I think we understand what happens on that. And when a wind condition happens or storms happen, what happened Friday and Saturday, it really does take a long time to get everything back up to normal. I know sometimes the shippers out there are like, oh, come on. That was last week. It's 78 degrees here right now. What do you mean you can't deliver my freight on time?
Well, and let's be honest. I mean, what do the airlines typically do? They deliver freight, but it's people. So, I mean, they do the exact same thing that we do. They just do it in a little bit different elevation than we do it here on the ground. But they do the exact same thing. They deliver from point A to point B. And you can't. So think of it this way. You get delayed 1 or 2 days, or you get delayed. Now, all those lanes and all that freight that was building up, it just keeps stacking up. They just keep piling it up. And those people just keep filling up the airports just like they did.
At some point, we've done it here in the transportation. At some point, you have to say, Uncle. You have to raise the flag and say, I can't take any more freight. And you're
reject it.
Yeah, it's no different than the airlines, right? They're saying, well, what do you mean? I've been booked on this plane for a year. A year I've been booked on. You can't run it now? And the answer is, well, at some point, there's only so much capacity. And when your workforce is diminished, there's only so much you can do. You have productivity, and you can only gain so much. And I think that drives safe. Dave, what we do know is is when American Airlines cancels what we believe was about 6% of their flights yesterday, right? They're not doing that. I mean, nobody wants to lose money, and this costs real money. If we go back to Spirit Airlines, right? If we think about Spirit back in August, they canceled 2,800 flights that cost them in a 10-day period, cost them over $50 million. Southwest Airlines, just the other day, it seems like 2,000 flights were canceled.
Yep.
Over a $75 million loss.
Wow.
Let's face it. I mean, the planes, I can promise you, they're not sitting back saying, sit the planes. We don't want to run the people.
Save some cash. It's not happening.
Yeah, it is. It's unbelievable the amount of cash that does happen.
I will tell you one of the concerns is, and we had this over the Halloween, but here we're coming up to Thanksgiving, and they are saying that it sets the stage for maybe a super tragic event if weather gets involved, as it typically does during that time frame, being on the verge of winter. I mean, you're talking about something unprecedented in the number of cancellations that they might be seeing in the most traveled period of the year. Thanksgiving, right, is probably the most traveled time in all of flying. And I'm telling you, they're saying, pack your patience. I heard that was funny. They said, be ready. and be ready for your flight to be canceled.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, at the end of the day, not many de-icing delays happen during summertime. But you know what? We are right around that corner where it doesn't matter. Any delay really does matter, right? It snowballs. And when you still have planes that are sitting or they're being used for cargo today, right? There's not as many planes out there today running.
The nice thing about the cargo planes, though, you don't have to have a lot of flight attendants serving drinks to the cargo, during those flights. So those crews can be sent elsewhere.
Hey, what do you think about, speaking of cargo or no passengers, what do you think about the new autonomous ship that's going to come out? The cargo ship is expected to make its voyage by the end of the year, right? What do you think about that? Here it is. It's going to be able to go 13 knots. And keep in mind, a normal cargo ship that carries a lot more cargo than this usually runs between 16 and 25 knots.
Yeah, it's a slow roller, but it doesn't go a super long way. It's not open sea. It's in the North Sea, and it's not open, and it's only going to be during warm weather times. It can't run, obviously, in cold weather times because the North Sea freezes up. But I'll tell you, what's interesting is that it's all battery operated, and it won't run any fossil fuels. It'll just run on batteries, so I don't imagine it can go at a very high rate of speed.
Yeah, it's zero emissions, so kind of cool on that. It goes 13, like I said, 13 knots and carries around 103 containers. So not the biggest of ships for certain out there.
But it's a start.
And all the way, so it's a 7 MWH battery, whatever that is. But
Megawatt.
It does go into mention and goes to say, hey, you know what? It'll take a little while for this puppy to charge back up.
Yeah, megawatt. It's a megawatt instead of a kilowatt. So that's what it is.
So major delay or major time constraint in the charging of the battery, producer.
Well, I think it's also interesting that this is the first step that the shipping world, not roadside shipping, but actual shipping, has taken towards zero emissions and automation is what it seems like, at least the first one that I've seen in the news. And while it's going to take a while because obviously unmanned ships, with ships having such massive operating systems, it'll take a little bit, but this is actually going to be removing up to 40,000 truck journeys in certain populated areas up there in, I believe it was Norway. So it's going to be bringing in a lot more freight, at least to certain places, moving things around whenever you don't have the staff to, which I think is maybe important right now whenever we don't have staff in certain places.
Yeah, it just may not be, the freight that, it may not be stuff that you still want, right? I mean,
what?
It's going to take twice as long to get there, so make sure you're ordering in plenty of time. But I will say this, it is going to, that industry, the shipping industry, and literally the shipping, they use 3% of that global greenhouse emissions comes out of there. I mean, without a doubt, they're just pumping in, if you believe in any of that stuff right there, they're pumping out a lot of bad air. You see it.
Well, they actually have very big diesel engines running when they run those ships. Those are some of the biggest engines out there to turn those huge turbines across the water. Especially those mega, what are those, the mega container ships? They're burning some fuel.
No doubt, yes, without a doubt. Hey, what do you think about the man in Italy that says, you know what, I'm done. I'm not staying at home anymore. The guy is sitting out there. Check this out. He's under house arrest.
Oh, yeah.
So he's got the opportunity to either go in jail, stay at home. He leaves, escapes his house, goes into the local police barracks and says, hey, you know what? Take me to jail. I can't handle her anymore.
I'd rather be in prison than with her. And they went ahead and arrested him and sent him to prison. Oh, so he got his wish.
His wish came true.
So he is a happy man.
So he says right here, he said, hey, listen, my domestic life has become hell. I can't do it anymore. I want to go to jail, quote unquote, and drive safe. To your point, they escorted him right to jail. He got his wish.
He got his wish. Maybe he's just happy, or maybe he's sitting locked in a cell somewhere and thinking, thank God I don't have to listen to her today.
Hey, listen, we have Jorge Bonilla joining us today. So the Sergeant Major going to have a great conversation, and we're going to kind of lead into what's going on over, in Haiti, right? Yeah. And we do have this, and the latest news I saw on this was that there was a 17-year-old American pastor. He has been released on $550,000 bond. We have more news, though, coming about the, what is it, the 400 Muaso?
Yep, 400 Muaso. You
Sounds
said it
bad,
correct.
sounds dangerous.
But nobody's.
Folks that you don't want to mess with. We're coming back to you here in 60 seconds on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Welcome back to BCB Live. Yes, we are the safest station in the nation. Drive safe, Dave. We've heard a lot and read a lot about the, the missionaries in Haiti and what's been going on over there. With us today, we have Jorge Bonilla, security expert.
Correct. Our local, but yet world-traveled, well-renowned, and basically our best intelligence officer out there today for BCB
and
Live.
He is the most requested male on the show as well. When is this Jorge Bonilla guy going to come back on? I get messages all the time. Jorge, it must be tough to be a security guy and be that good looking.
Oh, I just can't stand it. My wife says the same thing.
Oh, man. So Jorge,
Good morning.
Hey, help me out here. Talk to me a little bit. First of all, what is that? What does Muasos mean? So the 400 Muasos, what does that word even mean?
Yeah, 400 Mawaso loosely means 400 nobodies. I don't know how they came up with that name, but obviously they're nobodies anyway because they're doing nefarious things.
Yeah, and you know what? When they name somebody, it kind of tells you this. So they have nothing to lose is probably how they feel. Hence, I would think something with that name. And when somebody has nothing to live for, if that's what they're named for, boy, let me tell you something. What they're doing right now, it kind of fits right in, right? They have nothing to lose for, everything to gain. And I think when we talk about these missionaries and coming in and grabbing them for ransom, $17 million is what they're asking for. Jorge, first and foremost, are they even still alive?
Yeah, that's the best news that we have received is that they are alive. They are well. They have already taken out or done a video specifically about the hostages and what they're going to do to them or what they should do to them if they don't get what they need and all that stuff. You know, they're being what they do. They're being loud. They're being violent. They're being ferocious, and they're not intelligent, obviously, because every time they come out, we can use those methods with technology to try to find them. But it's good as long as they keep doing it. We can try to go after them as best as we can.
How much of the security of that country right now in Haiti that we see is lost among these types of gangs within the country? I mean, obviously, right now, with the resignation of the police chief in that region, how much of security do we have in Haiti right now with these bands of these villains running around and grabbing people?
Yeah, it goes to show you the current leader of the so-called G9 criminal organization, they call them gangs, but we call them criminal organizations, is a former police chief. For about 4 years ago, he was wanted on a warrant for massacring 14 innocent civilians, and since then he's been on the lam, and of course heading the most notorious criminal organization in Haiti, group of 9 individual criminal organizations, and the 400 Mawoso is going to be one of them that's going to be implemented soon, along with others. But if you have an agenda like that, I mean, obviously the country is as lawless as you can possibly think of, because you have I think it said 150, over 150 criminal organizations in Haiti. And it's ridiculous. It's crazy. And they all pretty much do the same thing. We call them here transnational criminal organizations, TCOs, and they're just running loose and doing whatever they want.
How difficult it is for somebody like the United States to assist a country that has like an earthquake or all of these things that go on that create human disaster, this natural disaster that took place in Haiti. How difficult it is for us to provide support, provide help while all this is going on.
Yeah, it's very difficult. I mean, the United States, when they give this type of aid, I mean, they always want to make sure that the money or the funds or the products or whatever it is that they're providing for these for this help, for the aid, is accounted for. And when they don't have, when there's no system over there that helps them account for everything they provide, that's a problem. And of course, a lot of people, famous people with a lot of money and a lot of resources, then they have to get involved and stuff like that because, the United States is just really, they can't do much without others' help as well.
Producer, you got something?
Yeah, we do. So we actually have two questions here for you, Jorge. So the first one's coming from Brian Winsauer. So he's wanting to know, are there any efforts in place to slow the immigrant caravans from their origins, or do the local governments turn a blind eye to that?
Yeah, good question, Ryan. They're saying there's talk about visas that Mexico is providing or giving visas to a lot of those people that are coming on the caravan so you can stay in Mexico. But those people are saying no. We're going to the north. We're going to the United States. That's where we have our family. That's where we have, and in some cases, they already have jobs lined up. But I mean, and in some cases, some people are staying, but that's very, very, very few, a small minority of individuals. But as far as I'm concerned, the visa situation in Mexico is I think it's a step forward. I never seen anything like that. I never heard anything like that. Mexico has always been. And the way we see it, and here in the States, and of course in the intelligence community, is like Mexicans are just the Mexican government is just letting him pass by. They're allowing him on the trains and allowing him to come up north, and then obviously we have to deal with that when they get here.
All right, and then we also had Corey Baker on the line. If you have a question for us, Corey.
How about you, Corey Baker? You got a question, sir?
Okay.
Hey, while we wait on Corey here, hey Jorge. So how are you? Are you any connections that you have in with you yourself or any friends regarding Haiti?
Yes, absolutely. We have a group of individuals that will remain unnamed out of the Dominican Republic who have vested interest in what's going on politically, specifically in Haiti, and they have for years. They have been part of the Haiti campaign or the Haiti presidential campaigns and whatever else over there, lobbying with the United States to help the lawless Haiti as we know it, and to boost the security apparatus in Haiti through boost the military, boost the police, boost all the security umbrella that exists in Haiti. But the biggest thing in Haiti with that security issue is that these security entities do not talk to each other. They don't like each other. They feel like they can't trust each other, and I can understand that. I mean, with all the situation that's going on over there with the chief of police becoming one of the most notorious criminals in Haiti, who can you trust? So it's it's a difficult situation.
How difficult is it for outside contractors to provide security for the people of Haiti, or are they utilizing outside security? Are they utilizing outside resources to help come in and stem the tide?
Yes, for sure. The executive protection companies here in the States specifically are getting a lot of work in Haiti. That's the only way. I mean, imagine that if you can if you can bring M4s and M9s and laws from security companies into Haiti, I mean, that obviously tells you, what type of precarious situation exists there. And the work that needs to be done is huge, it's massive. And the only way that people can actually advance in the country with, building schools such as, the 17 individuals that were from the ministries that were hostage, that are hostage today. And that's just a small example. You need strong security to be able to fight the criminal organizations over there. So absolutely, they're all over the place.
And just to leap onto what you said, you were talking about weaponry, and then you said laws. You're talking about light anti-tank weapons, right? You're not talking about the rules and regulations. That's what you're talking about, right? You're talking about bazookas and rockets, right?
Right. I was exaggerating just a little bit, but yeah, I mean, imagine you're these executive protection personnel are armed to the teeth. They have all kinds of different weapons. Ammunition is there's not a shortage of ammunition over there because they can't. I mean, they're fighting not only the government over there, but they're also fighting the criminal organization, and that's a huge uphill battle.
So I've seen a lot of Rambo movies, Black Hawk Down, movies like that. And so you go into my point there because, many of us back here, we say, well, why don't we just go get them? Is it just not as simple as going in? We are the U.S. Why don't we just go get our people? Bonilla, talk to me about that.
Yeah, it's obviously the politics is what gets involved in all this stuff. I mean, we're dealing at this point. We're dealing with terrorists, even though they're homegrown terrorists. It's still a terrorist organization, and the United States doesn't necessarily deal with terrorists or these type of advances, or what they intend to do is money. There's also talk. I saw that there's also talk that they want $17 million per person, but they also wanted the president to get out. I mean, so is it a political thing, or is it a funded situation? We'll never understand in these criminal organizations anyway.
We understand the difficulty of dealing with a foreign power and utilizing American forces to do something like that, to go in and take that, but and you got to have really good intelligence in order to do something. You got to go know where they are, right? You got to know exactly where they are, because once you jump in with both feet, you got to make sure that you're doing the right thing, or we'll have some kind of international problem, right? In regards to a foreign power, we got to respect the foreign power at that as well. But my main question is, how much of that government is asking for help to all of the countries in that region?
We understand that the help that the Haitian government is asking is quite robust. If I know our community well, and I do, we probably already know where they are. And it's not necessarily using technology, but using the network that we have in Haiti. We have a large network in Haiti that we've been vetted for several years, and have been helping us with this type of situations. So it's very possible that it's very likely that we already know where they are, but it's just not as simple as just to go in there and get them out, because, we have to make sure 100% with certainty that the individuals are there, but then also that the Haitian government do understand that if we do go in and try to get them, we're going to do it our way, and lives will be lost.
Hey, Jorge, we're running out of time here, but I do have one question for you. If given the opportunity to go there and help out a government, would you, Jorge Bonilla, take yourself there and be part of that security team in Haiti?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, for sure. I'm not an executive protection per se, although I have done it, but my main thing is utilizing network, source handling, and using technology to find individuals and analyzing their information. So definitely, I would love to take part in this type of activity. This is what we live for.
Calling all mercenaries? Is that what? No, just
I can't. He didn't say Mercs. He didn't say Mercs. But you know what? It's great to know that we still are trying to do the right thing, and we're still utilizing the information to go out there and create a better world, even in countries something like Haiti, and to try to make a difference. And I appreciate all of the stuff that you do, Sergeant Major, in regards to finding out and getting the right information to the right people to make it better.
Yeah, and it takes people like what you do, Jorge, right? That security, that team, that network, that atmosphere to get things like this accomplished. For us to go in there and make a difference or get these missionaries out, it's going to take people like yourself that have all of that security, that has that knowledge on what's going on in all these different pockets to get this pulled out. Hey, listen, we want the best. We want these folks back home where they belong. Hey, Jorge, appreciate the information on Haiti. Thank you for what you do, and thank you for being part of BCB Live.
You're absolutely welcome, guys. Thank you so much for having me again. Take care.
All right. Thank you, sir. And just, again, some amazing information that comes from these.
Interesting stuff going on, and it's really great to have some inside information. It's great. Jorge provides some insight that we could only second guess about what's going on over there. It's pretty impressive stuff.
And you know what? You and I were speaking before, and it's kind of amazing too. And producer, you can hop in on this, on how quiet it's really gotten around this thing. I mean, this was the story, just a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah, it was a lead
and
story.
now here it is. It's you don't hear a lot about it. It makes you wonder what's going on behind the scenes, because I guarantee you there's some things that have to be going on.
Yeah, and it's crazy to me that we are on this news cycle so quickly that 17 American people are being held hostage, and 1 week it's everywhere. Now we're just like, well, maybe we paid the $17 million. Maybe they're still down there. Who knows? I guess we're just gonna roll the dice.
I'm with you on that. It's just it's crazy how quick that news can kind of go from top to out of sight. And so I'll ask the question here: what about the guy that the guy and the girl? What's her name? That she disappeared in Florida. Have they ever found? I mean, in Colorado, have they ever found him?
Petito. So Gabby Petito.
And they found him.
Why did they found it? But they found him.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, they
found
his remains in Florida, just last week.
There was actually a very interesting case too, because along with his body, they found a lot of belongings with him, but everything, like his journal was with him, but it was wet, and his remains were scattered everywhere. And they didn't even know that it was him initially. They had to do testing and make sure. They actually took his teeth, and that's how they found out that they were his remains alongside all of the things that were left around. So very strange.
Animals. There's a lot of animals there. Coyotes, and I mean they'll make quick work. Gators. They'll make quick work of what's going on out there, especially. But we don't know fully all the answers. There's still an investigation going on. Some of this, I saw a story last night about. In regards to this, and still trying to figure out exactly what the timeline is of when he took off and how long he's been dead, because he's been dead for a while. Gotcha. So they're still trying to figure out, put all the pieces together. It's still a story, and will continue to be so until they figure everything out. But there will be no genuine justice if that's what you're looking for.
Hey, drive safe, David. It's time for that phrase that pays. Let's give it to the folks that are listening right now. Here we go.
Winter weather can make you a fool. Slow down and play it cool.
One more time.
Winter weather can make you a fool. Slow down and play it cool.
We will see you here in a minute on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
You can do many things to communicate that you are slowing down. You can flip your hazards on.
Expect craziness like this all the time.
75% of these fatal accidents involving these trucks are with the first two, and it's the driving too fast and tailgating. If this driver hadn't slowed down, this could have been a whole different outcome.
Tune in weekdays from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. You can watch BCB Live through LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe today and follow BCB Live.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to the morning edition of the Safety Show on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. You've got Double Check Dale in front of the camera and the producer running the controls, and we're going to jump in and look at some roads, some traffic right now. Let's look at the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Let's start over in Fort Worth, and if you are on 35W in Fort Worth from the north of the loop all the way through the downtown area, you are going to see some slowdowns and some traffic over in that area on Fort Worth side. 820 between 30 and the 183, there's going to be a slowdown and some traffic there. 30 coming through the mid-cities on the eastbound side, westbound side, a little bit of traffic going on there. And as we get into the Dallas area, the 114, a lot of traffic there. The downtown area of Dallas looks like it's going to be your trouble spot, one of your trouble spots right now. 35 east going south out of the loop, a lot of traffic there. 20 out on the eastbound side of Dallas, lots of traffic slowdowns there. And then 635 just about from the DMT all the way down around to 20 you're going to see some intermittent slowdowns, some traffic, some tie-ups there. So, expect some delays depending on where you're in the Dallas area. There is a lot of traffic and a lot of slowdowns this morning. And we go up to Kansas City, and Kansas City looks really, really pretty good this morning. Not much going on there, not any prolonged stretches of slowdowns or tie-ups there, reds or oranges on our map. So I think if you're in Kansas City, you're going to have a pretty good commute. Chicago, like I said, you get inside that 294 loop, and you're going to see a lot of traffic on 90, 88 going into downtown, 55 going in. But 294 itself looks really pretty good this morning. 88 coming into town out by North Aurora. There's a big slowdown, an area of tie-ups out there. The 80, 94 junction going across Indiana, southern Illinois looks really, really good. So overall, if you're out in the Chicago area, traffic's not too bad except for the downtown area. Philadelphia, wow. Still just a lot of traffic going on in Philadelphia, lots of slowdowns. I see a major one down around Wilmington on 95, around Chester on 95. You got a big slowdown. Of course, the downtown area in Philadelphia, the 76 loop is just really, really tied up both directions, no matter where you're going down in downtown Philadelphia. 95 going north out of Philadelphia. There's going to be a couple of slowdown areas, but overall not as bad as we've seen. Jumping over to the New Jersey side. New Jersey side out there looks pretty good this morning. Just a lot of small areas where there's going to be some slowdown, some tie-ups, but it doesn't look like there's any major areas on the Philadelphia side with major delays. Going into Atlanta, of course, unless you're making deliveries inside the loop, you should not be inside the loop in Atlanta. We will start with the northern part of the loop, and that is red or orange just about all the way around from where on the west side of 20 all the way over to the east side of 20. So if you're on the north 285 loop in Atlanta, expect slowdowns, expect delays because it is a lot of reds and lots of oranges. 20 coming in and going out of Atlanta looks pretty good except for that downtown area, and you shouldn't be there. 285 on the southbound part of Atlanta, on the southbound part of the loop, looks really, really good this morning. 675 going south looks good. 75, 85 going south out of Atlanta look pretty good this morning. We get to Nashville, and we'll go with 40. 40 coming into Nashville from the west looks really good. The downtown area, the southern part of that loop, the 65, 2440 loop is where the congestion is, and then that 2440 going eastbound out of Nashville, quite a tie-up and a lot of slowdowns and congestion in that area. 24 up north, inside the loop is where you're going to see the traffic and the slowdown there. And then 24 southbound out of Nashville, lots of traffic going there. So if you're on 24 south of Nashville, expect some slowdowns and delays. The Baltimore, Washington, D.C. area, we'll look at Washington, D.C. Lots of traffic, lots of slowdowns, lots of congestion, but it doesn't look as bad as we've seen other mornings. If you're out on the east or on the west side of it, 495, actually looks pretty good. It's the north part of the 495 loop that's got the traffic and the congestion. And then downtown Washington, D.C., lots of traffic and slowdowns, tie-ups there. Going up into Baltimore, the 95 going into Baltimore and the 295 going up to Baltimore, you know, you're going to have some pretty open roads, and then you're going to hit some stretches of slowdown. 295 probably is the more slowdowns and tie-ups in traffic than the 95. Baltimore, the south part of the loop, the 695 loop in Baltimore looks pretty good. It's the north part, once you get past 70 up in Baltimore on the 695 loop, lots and lots of traffic, lots of tie-ups there, congestions. That's that one. Let's go to weather. You know, not a lot going on in weather right now. The winds are actually pretty calm for the most part across the country. So wind-wise, you know, we're looking pretty good right now. We kick it in this afternoon. We start to see a little bit more winds kick up in Colorado and northern Albuquerque. And I think when we look at precip, we're going to see some precipitation stretching down from Canada and through that part of the country. And that's probably what the winds are doing there. Going out east, central United States, winds are pretty calm out there. Looking at the overnight into tomorrow morning, you know, again, pretty calm weather pattern right now as far as the winds go. Not much going on there tomorrow morning when we start the day. And then by tomorrow afternoon, you know, we don't see a whole lot of wind. We're going to start seeing a little bit more out on the west coast again as there's a storm front coming in there. I think Wednesday, Thursday, you're going to see some precipitation out there. And then in Texas, we're starting to see the winds pick up a little bit there. We got some precipitation coming in a little later this week. Speaking of precipitation, let's go to the rain and thunder and see what we're looking at. You know, right now, like I said, we have a band of snow showers starting up at the Canadian border in Idaho, northern Idaho, that stretches through Idaho, down through Wyoming, and then into the Rockies in Colorado. Most of the snow there is going to be above the 8,000-foot elevation, but they are expecting quite a bit of snow there above 8,000 feet. And then if you come into central United States, we have a little bit of precipitation out in the panhandle of Texas. The clouds are starting to build up out there. A little bit west of Dallas and some precipitation. And then West Virginia up into Pennsylvania, a few showers going on out there right now. As we go into the afternoon, the snow out west seems to have, the area shrunk down a little bit in the northern part of Idaho, but Colorado this afternoon, lots of snow there in the Rockies and going west out in Colorado. And then again, by this afternoon, we should be seeing some precipitation here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Lots of Oklahoma has a chance for some showers going on there. West Virginia, a little bit of showers going there. And actually, it looks like a few snowflakes out in the upper elevations of West Virginia. So be aware of that. If you see snow, wet roads, make sure we slow down and adjust our speed and space for that. Tomorrow morning, as we get up and go in tomorrow morning, the snow out in the Rockies seems to have really diminished. It's just going to be mainly in the upper elevations, but the showers and the rain in the Texas and Oklahoma area has really intensified. And that's really central Texas from Lubbock all the way over to the Dallas area. And then most of Oklahoma will be covered by showers tomorrow. Other than that, not a lot going on. Some lake effect snows up in Pennsylvania, up in Michigan, northern Michigan, and the northern peninsula up there. Expecting some snow tomorrow morning. Tomorrow afternoon, again, showers throughout Texas, central Texas, starting to work their way south of Dallas toward the Houston area, and then by tomorrow evening, the Houston area will be seeing some showers. Oklahoma dries out a little bit. Arkansas and northern Louisiana will see some showers tomorrow afternoon. And so that is weather this morning. Let's take a short break.
Welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. we saw the weather for tomorrow morning, and you said on your way to work. And I noticed it was from 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. And while 2/3 of us, it may be on our way to work, for others, you got to show a little later time, right? In that 6 to 8, 8:30, 9 o'clock range for some of us on their way to work.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, I mean, I guess we way to work. I guess that's any time from 24 hours a day. You know, we transportation.
It is, and a lot of drivers are up and getting going early in the morning. You know, much like you and I are, and then you have the other ones, right, that work that mid shift per se. They get up a little later in the day, and we saw that. You know, it was funny because you showed the weather in the afternoon. It was like till noon, and that was caught his eye. He's like, all right, I'm usually on my home around that time, so wow. I appreciate the weather advice there.
You know what, and thank you, Sir Rick, and I appreciate the knowing my travel patterns as well. If you seem to be
just part of what I do, sir.
You know, part of what even though they may be wrong, you seem to. You know, but I'll tell you, before we go any further, it was nice to see that Vail and those regions in Denver are starting to get some of that winter snow, so that they can open up the slopes here getting around Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah, need to get that snow out there. Need to get a big snow base out there, because you know that's what fills the reservoirs in the spring too. So you know, all that snow is welcome.
Got to be on that side of the.
Continental divide.
Got to be on that side of the continental divide, and I'll tell you, in order to get out west, and they need it. They need a big snowpack.
Yeah. Speaking of snow, we are talking a little bit about substance abuse this year or this week.
Wow, what a lead in!
That is a tie-in.
That's a lead in.
That is good. That's right. You know, this week's safety topic, we're talking about CSA scores. Yesterday we went over vehicle maintenance, and today's topic is controlled substance and alcohol. Okay. It's usually, when you look at CSA scores, it's usually carriers one of their best scores. The threshold is 80%, and we're currently at 4%, so we're doing a very good job there. I mean, things that we need to remember as drivers, you know, if we're on prescription drugs or prescription medications, you need to let the safety department know about it. You need to let HR know about it. And you need to know what the withdrawals are. I mean, there are certain drugs, you can take them and you're released, but you have to have 72 hours since the last time you take it to you know, be ready to drive, because those drugs will make you sleepy. They can make you sleepy, drowsy, disorientated, you know, forgetful. And so you really want to pay attention to those. Just because it's a prescription drug doesn't mean that you can take them and drive right away. So you need to make sure you let HR, safety know about that. If you have any questions about it, you know, talk to safety or talk to your doctor and say, hey, you know, I drive a commercial motor vehicle for a living. When, you know, what's the withdrawal period on this? When can I take it? How long do I have to wait before I do that? And so, you know, need to be aware of that type of thing. So that is today's topic. And then alcohol and beer, you know, can't have it in your truck. Just cannot have it in your truck unless it's manifested. That's the only time you should have alcohol or beer in your truck. And usually, you know, when I look at CSA scores and look at carriers, that's usually where their violations are. Drivers, you know, on my 34 break, I'm going to get, excuse me, get a six-pack or whatever and have in their truck. That's when they get in trouble, or they don't throw the bottles out, or they have one or two left instead of, you know, throwing it away. It's in there. He gets pulled over for roadside inspection, and bad things happen. So that is controlled substance and alcohol today.
All right, great reminders, and it's something that we will continue to talk about, because you bring up a good point in there. It is sometimes you're taking, you know, something that the doctor prescribed you, and you think that, you know what, he already knows or she knows that I'm a driver, and they may know that, but they don't know all the regulations that go around trucking. And when it comes to any medication you're taking at all you really have to do is call your local HR, your local safety person. Let them look at that and help you out, and make sure it is something you can continue to drive with, and you don't have to wait a 72-hour period or any kind of period, you know, before you start operating that equipment again.
Yep, absolutely, great points. Like I said, just want to be legal, because you can always get pulled in for a random. You know, if you don't tell somebody about that and you're taking prescription medication, haven't let anybody know, that still counts as a positive. Yep. It still counts as a positive, and that's a good way to end a driving, or a bad way, I guess, to end a driving career. Sure. So you want to make sure that everybody knows about that ahead of time, and that we're, you know, compliant on that. So we need to talk about accident streaks.
Let's go.
All right. Preventable accident-free streak and DOT reportable accident-free streak is at 14 days, 2 weeks. Outstanding. And the get out and look, the backing accident-free streak, 53 days, closing in on that 68-day record.
That's awesome, man. Love those things.
You're doing a great job.
We're going to make it there. I just know we're going to make it there. And how we're going to make it there? One day at a time, getting out and looking. Every time we set up for a back, we have to get out and look. There are no shortcuts here. In safety, it doesn't rest. There are no shortcuts. You have to do it every time. It's like, when we look at videos and we see the stop signs where we stop for them in the middle of the night, because even though nobody's around, it's that habit. We have to have that habit on this. And so the streaks continue to grow. Great stuff. We're on the way to that record.
Yeah, streaks will continue to grow as long as we learn from some of the videos that we're about to see. And we'll see some of these videos. They talk the same thing, speed, space. We talk about intersections. We talk about construction areas. All of these items, are things that we show and we review all the time that says you've got to make sure that you're looking all the way around you, that you're looking at your blind spots, that you're looking at that vehicle in front of you, and that you're not following too close because, folks, we've got to make sure that we do all we can to protect life, and that means paying special attention when we are getting into those intersections or when we're coming into a big city or a larger city when all of a sudden there's merging lanes, more traffic, and we've got to make sure we're leaving ourselves out and letting those cars cut us off and backing off anyway. We've got to be the patient ones, packing the patience and being the professionals out there. What do we got for videos today?
Hey, let's take a look at them. This first one here, driver does a great job. He's starting to back off already. This vehicle goes past him. Big picture, load securement. Probably doesn't feel real comfortable about how that load's secured on that flatbed. So driver does a great job of creating space, backing off and waiting before he goes over to make the pass or get over there. So just great recognition here by the driver of what's going on. And, maybe that load isn't as secure as it should be. Big picture here, again, patience. And I like this. Oh, this is a stop sign one. This is what I was talking about a little bit earlier. We come up to it, and I think we're going to roll right through this one. And this is the stop one. This is one of the good ones. We stop for it. It's the middle of the night. We're in a low traffic area. Not much going on, but the driver still comes to the stop sign, stops completely, looks both ways, double checks that he's clear to go before he goes. And so that's just great. Middle of the night stuff. Nobody's around.
Hey, what's up with the arrow right here? You don't see those very often, do you? Just say, hey, this is the way you're going. I hope so. It's a one-lane road at that point. If you're coming the other way, are you going to look at the backwards arrow and say, oh, crap?
Yeah. You'd be surprised.
Hey, great job stopping at the stop sign.
Okay.
Here we go. We got merging lanes right here. We see it. Oh, no. Don't do it.
No, yep. And that's just it. Got to be prepared. You got to be patient. And we're trying to get ahead of here, trying to get past that 18-wheeler and get up there and fit into a space where we really didn't have room to do it. So it's a big picture. You said it earlier, Rick, the patience, the professionalism. What the driver needed to do was just recognize, hey, my lane's ending. I don't have the room to get over there. I need to start slowing down. I need to start backing up and let this vehicle get in front of me so I can get over there.
Yeah, I counted 4 signs there that we saw telling us that lane is ending. It's not a shocker. It's not a surprise. And you know what? We tend to hear a lot of complaints about this, about the four-wheelers doing that to us, right? Cutting us off right in front. And here we are doing the same thing to one of our brothers out there on the road.
Yeah, we're trying to squeeze into a tight space, and then all you're going to do is you're just going to create less space between vehicles, between all 3 of these big trucks. And I'll tell you, it's not a good idea. You've got to make sure that you create the space, and you're not doing it here. The best way to create space is to back off.
Yeah, and you know what? It tells me, too, that on somebody else's TV show this morning, they're showing our truck, this truck right here, doing its way, and they're saying, we don't want to be like them. And folks, that's not what we're after. We want to be the leaders. We want to be, we want to help change this industry, the image of the industry, and this isn't helping right here. No. We've got to pack our patience and just get in line.
You know, here's again, speed and space, big picture. You got to know where your out is on this one. You know, we're coming up really fast on them, and you know, a sudden acceleration. You need to be looking at that big picture, seeing what's going on. You know, we got traffic on the side of the road and everything, so we know good chance somebody's going to be slowing down, or there's people, pedestrians around there. So we got to start backing off sooner, seeing that big picture. As soon as those brake lights in front of us come on, you know, need to start slowing down and backing up on it. Keep that space.
Boy, does this give anybody else anxiety when you see this?
So,
I mean,
yeah, absolutely. And you look at this, and you're in the right lane, and you've got some good spacing here, but not being able to maintain it is worrisome to me. When you count off 1001, you're well within you're way too close to begin with. And secondly, all of this stuff going on in the shoulder as you approach, you need to be genuinely cautious. You don't know who's standing there, what's going on there, and what's happening, especially when you look right there. You see a lot happening. You should be slowing down and giving that a wide berth and being very cautious as you approach that dangerous area.
Yeah, I'm going to agree right here. Look, the brakes are on already on the truck in front of you. You've got to start slowing down now. Why? Well, because he sees something that you can't see. Yeah, he sees something that you're blind to. And that's because there's not enough space there. But use the blues clues, and that is when you see the brake light, you've got to start applying it right now, not waiting to the last second.
Yep. I mean, you know, that space is in front of you. You can't jump over there. And so anytime we see, you know, traffic or something alongside the road, that is just a clue to slow way down, because, you know, that's our out in it. That's the protecting life, is slowing down, managing that speed there.
Look at, and when you look at that video, you see the person standing out there. You see a lot going on there. It's time to back off and give yourself plenty of wide berth.
You know, this is one, I love this video. It's a great one to close with, because, you know, intersections are dangerous, but look what this driver's doing. Driver recognizes he does not have enough space to go through this green light. Stops before he gets out in the intersection and plugs it up. He's protecting life. Any traffic behind him is not going to get out in that intersection and have the light change on him. So just a fantastic video right here.
Yeah, that right there, that is making a difference. That is action to what we've been speaking to. That is somebody that sees a situation, that knows that he or she, they have the green light, right? And they're not playing the role that says, well, I'm just going to go. I had the green light, block up the whole intersection. They're waiting it out. They pack their patience. They are saying, right now, I can't really go because my trailer's going to block the entire intersection. I'm not protecting life. They're realizing an intersection, which we speak about, that bad things happen in intersections, so you have to protect yourself. Producer, we have a couple callers.
Yes, we do. We got Jeff Marsh and then David Mason. So, Jeff, what you got for us today?
Yeah, that video with the big truck, with our truck merging in, that could have been a bad mess. Right there, that driver did not have any of the Smith systems in play right there, and that could have. I mean, if that first truck would have had the same on their brakes, we would have had no way of stopping, and then we left that last truck with no way of stopping, so it could have been a truck accident right there, and we'd have been right in the middle of it. So that was a bad move on our driver's spot.
Good point on that, and something we can learn from, and we have to learn from when we see these videos is, if I'm in that spot, if I catch myself, and we do it all the time in the same scenario, what am I going to do? And that's why we watch these videos. Mr. Mason, what do you got for us, sir?
Oh, I was just going to say that the one where we caught up with the traffic and it kind of veered to the right a little bit. To me, that looks 100% distracted driving. Like, his eyes, we're so tall. I mean, we're way taller than those two vehicles in front of us. The white car that pulled over in front of the pickup hauling the trailer. We're taller. We should be able to see over that. When you said you can see those brake lights, because that white car got over to the right, you see the brake lights from the trailer. Right then, when you see those brake lights, you can already see that trailer on the shoulder if you're looking down the road where you're supposed to be looking. But if your eyes aren't on the road, the way he veered to the right there, I mean, if he would have saw that on the shoulder, which he should have seen that way ahead of time, then his hands never would have pulled the steering wheel to the right. But I think what happened was he looked up, whatever they were doing. I think they were totally distracted and looked up at the right second just to see the trailer in front of them, had never put in their brain the vision of the stuff on the right. And that's why they started to go to the right and then saw the stuff. And to me, it just looks like, 100% distracted driving.
Thank you, Mr. Mason, for that. And we've seen it many times on the videos is the reactionary thing to do is go to the right. And when there's something on the right, disabled vehicle, a trailer in this moment here, bad things will happen. We will lose life. The right side isn't your out. The out is the space. It's putting on the brake.
It's that area directly in front of the vehicle. It's that area directly that you can control, that area that you have control of directly in front of the truck. That is and should always be your out. If you can control that space and make sure that is the area in which you, now there'll be times when it's taken away from you.
No doubt about
it. And you'll have, but if you can control it in this instance, it wasn't stolen from you. It just got greatly reduced over time, and you've got to continue to maintain it. And if you count the seconds, and I was watching, if you count the seconds between the vehicle in front and where you are, you're still way too close. You're within a second of the vehicle in front of you. Man, you got to practice every day of counting that time between you and the vehicle in front of you. You're going to want to be able to stop in time.
Yeah, challenge yourself to do that, right? To start counting the seconds you are to the vehicle in front of you. Find that spot on the road, that tree, that bridge. When they pass it, count the seconds till you get there. You know, it's amazing. Sometimes you see the space out there when you're driving, and it seems like you have plenty of space. It just does visually. And you've got to check yourself. You've got to make sure that you're playing, you're giving yourself that count game to see how close am I really? Do I have enough time to stop? And we all know that it takes us a second to really react to be able to stop. And if all you have is a second, it's an accident.
It is an accident. You can't stop as quick as those four-wheelers can. You just can't. And what's really sad and what's really difficult is that not only if they hit something or collide with something, you're going to get to them a whole lot quicker.
Mm-hmm.
You can't count on their momentum to slow down with yours. You've got to be able to stop in that distance. And to do that, you have to. And you'll find yourself today when you're counting, you'll be like, oh man, I am way too close. Even though and it's a habit. You know what? We develop habits out there on the road on the distances that we run between the vehicle and us at certain speeds. We get into this mind framework where we run in this habit, but you've got to get out of that habit. You've got to practice on the timing, and you've got to understand, got to count it off. And then when you realize, hey, I can't even get to 1002. I can't even get, man, you're way too close. Back off. Practice today.
Yeah, and don't slow your counting down. I mean, that's not the answer. We're not asking you to count
Speed it up.
slowly.
Speed it up.
Don't
do that either.
All right. Hey, our dear Heavenly Father, we thank you again for this day you've given us. We ask you to give our drivers, the drivers on the highway, just more patience today than they've ever had before. Ask you the same thing for the four-wheelers out there, to give them the patience and to give them the respect of the big truck. Continue to bless these drivers, these heroes that you've given us to help to stay safe. Be with their families while they're away, and give us all the wisdom to be better at what we're doing, better at safety, better at operating our business. And Lord, give us that ability to make money as well and do with it as the right thing. Ask you all of these things in your Son's name we pray. Amen. Everybody, we'll see you this afternoon. This is BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.